Bonjour à tous. Tout d'abord, nous...
Good morning. We'd like to thank you for welcoming us. I hope that everything is running smoothly for everyone. We are SBS and we have won the national competition here with our project WAFEER,
national en Hollande.
which enabled us to be part of the international competition in the Netherlands. So we are here to introduce our project and we hope it will be of any use for you.
This is our tragic destiny, a destiny where mankind is the primary actor, a destiny where dehumanization takes hold, destruction ravages the earth, extinction haunts wildlife, poverty became the norm.
Splendid lands turn deserts, soils lie infertile and unproductive. Springs of pure water dried out. People are starving, a literal chaos.
This is the bitter reality of our world, where every nation is held accountable and is responsible, including our country, Tunisia. Despite its huge capacities and resources, it remains on the verge of an economic recession, mainly due to the downturn of its backbone, agriculture.
This, combined with reduced soil richness and battles against water scarcity, pushed farmers to use chemical fertilizers, hoping for a quick recovery, higher productivity, and additional income.
However, this practice backfired. It reduced biomass within the soil and poisoned the yield.
To make matters worse, it caused substantial harm to our coast and marine life.
Gabon, one of the rarest coastal oases in the world, is home for the chemical industry, including fertilizers, and is the most polluted coast with the highest cancer rate nationwide.
This is not the worst of it, as 60% of the total workable land is now infertile, and 876,000 Tunisians are threatened to live severe hunger by the year 2026.
في تونس التربة ناقصة مواد عضوية تعيش.
In Tunisia, the soil is suffering from organic impoverization, so poverty of the soil is impacting everything. We know that the impact is already there. The use of fertilizers is also devastating, and the cost has been important.
Intini must truly respond. A verse from our national anthem that sparked the light within the darkness.
We, Enactus Tunisia, believing in the power of collective action, stand committed to our country, channeling our efforts to create winds of change.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board flight number 50 with service from Utrecht to Tunisia. We kindly ask you to fasten your seatbelts. Thank you for choosing Enactus Tunisia Airlines. Enjoy your flight with WAFEER.
WAFEER, Waste Allocated for Economic and Ecological Restoration, a social enterprise held by Mr Karem Chatti and supported by a scientific advisor, Mr Ayari, recycles natural and organic waste to create fertilizer formulas that benefit different types of soil. WAFEER now operates in 3 regions across the country.
Our trip begins in the south, where we created our first product. There, we found large quantities of annual sheep wool reaching 3,000 tons annually. As wool is renowned for its high water retention capacity, we ventured to repurpose it.
We developed a formula for a nitrogen-rich fertilizer. A mixture of shredded wool and sheep manure is processed into pellets and then planted in the soil using a specific machine.
This efficient formula enabled us to produce 26 tons of the fertilizer monthly with the support of a local farmer and the investment in the necessary machinery.
The product is sold at $13 for 25 kilograms to farmers in the region, a solution that is 80% cheaper than available alternatives. We generated $59,000 and employed 3 people. This pelletized fertilizer enhances the land structure, increasing oxygen levels within the soil by 30% and decreasing the watering frequency by up to 25%.
Following this first achievement, we shifted our focus to palm tree waste, reaching 6 tons on a daily basis, and created our second product, biochar.
Biochar is designed to effectively reduce soil salinity while extending essential nutrients availability.
It is obtained through a CO2-free combustion of the collected shredded palm tree waste.
It can be applied directly to the soil or combined with natural fertilizers to increase efficiency.
With a 2-ton weekly production capacity, biochar is sold in 10-kilogram bags for $6 each, allowing WAFEER to generate $26,000 and employ 4 additional people.
Dear passengers, we are now halfway to our destination. Through your window seats, you may view the gorgeous Tunisian Middle Coast.
Here, we crossed paths with the market leader in poultry breeding, which has an average of 20 tons of wasted chicken manure per day. Turning this wasted resource into value, we came up with our third product formula, a fertilizer made of chicken manure, rich in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium that enhances plant growth and soil nutrition.
The product is obtained through air drying and pelletizing the chicken manure.
This formula allowed the breeding company to deploy a production unit in their headquarters with a 6-ton daily production capacity and producing a total of 80 tons monthly. The product is packaged and sold in 25-kilogram bags for $8 each, making it 38% less costly than equivalents on the Tunisian market.
Following this revenue model, we generated $139,000 and employed 5 additional people.
Dear passengers, we are now flying above the north of Tunisia.
In this region, we successfully created our 4th product, a liquid fertilizer made from nettles.
This leaf, known for its harmful effect on plants, is in reality a nutrient-rich resource offering natural protection against harmful insects. The product is obtained through shredding the nettle leaves, fermenting them for 2 weeks in water mixed with a catalyst, and airing it daily. With the help of 2 local farmers, 3,000 liters of the liquid fertilizer were produced.
The product is sold for $5 in concentrated density bottles with a 10-liter capacity, generating $8,100. Each bottle is worth 10 times its volume in water, making it 40% cheaper than other liquid fertilizers. Its application can be done by either employing a drip irrigation system or spraying the plants regularly.
Dear passengers, WAFEER offers a selection of 100% Tunisian fertilizers tested and approved by certified national laboratories. Our range is 40% less expensive than other available alternatives on the national market and 52% cheaper than the imported ones.
WAFEER sells 90% of the total production through diversified distribution channels, while 10% are offered to the local farmers, being themselves our subcontractors.
Our B2C sales approach is boosted by our project holders network, growing social media presence, as well as local and regional product promotions.
We also adopted a B2B model, targeting points of sale such as agricultural supply stores and cooperatives all over the country.
سماد عضوي يطلع في خصوبة الأرض ويعطي إنتاجية. خدمنا بها على أشجار، خدمنا بها على بكورة.
We see here that the SEMS
A total revenue of $244,000 with a net income of $30,000. By the end of 2023, we will be generating an additional revenue of $128,000 with a net income of $16,000.
Alongside our project holder, we empowered 4 agripreneurs by making them solid subcontractors, ensuring their fertilization needs, and giving them the opportunity to directly sell a part of the total production.
We impacted 250 Tunisian farmers by reducing their annual spendings on fertilizers by 12% and providing them with guidance and expertise. We helped reduce public expenditures on fertilizer imports by 13%.
As Mother Earth is our priority, we contribute to
Reduce the natural waste in Tunisia by 2,800 tons.
Reduce 200 tons of CO2 emissions by minimizing fertilizer imports and optimizing our supply chain.
and all this in just 8 months.
Looks like we are landing soon.
Yes, almost there. In addition to our 4 fertilizers, we are now developing 2 new product formulas by recycling cactus leaves and olive residues.
all of which will be submitted to the ISO certification process to labelize their quality.
To support our marketing and sales strategy, we are currently developing WAFEER's website, expanding our market reach.
Because most farmers lack technical know-how and therefore cannot identify the land deficiencies, we are partnering with a Tunisian startup to set up a customized device-linked mobile application, enabling them to receive tailored product recommendations.
By the end of 2023, we will be securing our first investment of $1.2 million to scale up the production of the chicken manure-based fertilizer. As a result, we will be generating $792,000 and reaching a total of 17 jobs created.
In 3 years, WAFEER will become a social franchise scalable to 4 franchises nationwide. This will enable us to generate a total revenue of $4,650,000.
Employ 340 people.
Impact 4,900 farmers.
And increase the fertility of their lands by 25%.
And reduce the water consumption in the agricultural sector by 49 million cubic meters.
In 5 years, WAFEER will be patented worldwide, allowing it to duplicate its concept in the MENA region as an international franchise targeting potential agripreneurs.
Dear passengers, we ask you to remain seated as we're landing back in Utrecht.
Flight number 50. Powered by a crew of 50 members, united for one purpose, tackled 12 SDGs, carving our impact on the wall of sustainability, devoted 45,000 hours to work on WAFEER, making a meaningful impact on communities, traveled 12,000 kilometers, turning visions into reality.
As WAFEER in our mother tongue stands for abundance and generous,
we want prosperity.
We want generosity.
We want human solidarity.
We want abundance and progress for our whole planet.
We are Enactus Tunisia,
active citizens of the world.
When Enactors choose to make a change, destiny will have to respond.
C'est magnifique, hein? C'est magnifique. Et j'ai l'impression que les applaudissements...
Excellent, but I think that the applause was not really up to the expectations. Thank you to these young ladies. TPS is a public Tunisian university which for some time has been making important breakthroughs. They tell me that there's another video. Will we screen it now or later? You will be entertained again. We will be watching again this video. Enactus again. I think the fact that they have been finalists in the Netherlands, so we will simply view this video before we move on to the next.
Students from Enactus INSAT founded ZegoFilter, a Tunisian green startup with the goal to improve the quality of life of citizens by reducing the risk of urban flooding and decreasing marine pollution. ZegoFilter specializes in the development and marketing of a filtration system that is installed at the entry points of a drainage network. The ZegoFilter product is a metal mesh device which is placed over drain entry points and prevents coagulated sludge and macroscopic waste from causing urban flooding and protects against sea pollution. OrthoPro is a project created by Enactus ESG with a vision of democratizing orthopedic devices and making accessibility to them a right for everyone. Prostheses are extremely expensive and inaccessible to many people. The idea of this project was to develop domestically a prosthesis for leg amputees of competitive quality and at a reasonable price. Behind these examples of innovation and new business ventures is Enactus Tunisia, the largest experiential learning platform in the country, developing next-gen leaders with a head for business and a heart for the world. Every year, Enactus Tunisia changes the lives of more than 3,600 next-gen leaders from around the country on over 83 campuses. In turn, the students of Enactus Tunisia are changing the country and the world with their innovative ideas, business initiatives, and positive contributions. Enactus Tunisia engages students to become next-gen leaders with an entrepreneurial mindset and a hard-earned understanding of business principles which aim to improve the world. Enactus Tunisia trains, supports, and incentivizes students to create, implement, and measure the impact of the businesses they create within the framework of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations for 2030. Enactus Tunisia students invested over 22,000 hours into creating businesses that immediately impacted 7,800 people, with 43 projects and 20 businesses created per year. If you care about who will lead us next, if you care about making a positive impact on the world's greatest challenges, if you care about preparing the next generation to responsibly drive the economic, social, and humanitarian initiatives, invest with Enactus. Enactus Tunisia and its funding partners inspire and engage students to understand that business is a force for good. Learn more and co-create positive impact with us at Enactus.
Bravo au chapitre tunisien d'Enactus. Abdelaziz Dagro, Thija Bahvey. Viens à côté de moi.
Vice President of Enactus, Madame Khawla, really is a president. She's traveling, but we have with us the Vice President. First of all, I would like to thank you for the work being done. That is grains of this type. Not only the young ladies, I attend often as a jury member of the Enactus competition. And I think this one and the other one is teeming with potential. There's great potential with Enactus. Certainly, we have to thank them. What they're doing is extraordinary. Young people at the forefront. The last thing, please know that over the last 45, 60 years, we have made growth for consumption. The future is growth for survival. Thank you. A point for reflection. Thank you. Thank you. We go back to the second panel, culture, enterprising culture and opportunity. I would like to invite Faten Ayari with us here. Under your applause, Mr. Walid Barhoumi.
Avec Séverine, Madame Imen également.
Madame Imen Ghelala. A distinguished guest from Gabon, Mr. Séverin Gabon. And Madame Marjorie Montegnies and Madame Séverine Intini from Brussels. Please join us.
J'aurais besoin d'une chaise, s'il vous plaît, pour les organisateurs.
They need an extra chair, I think, for the organizers.
Ilyes. Alors, dans ce panel, on va parler de culture.
In this panel, we will speak about enterprising culture and the creation of opportunities. I would like to introduce Madame Faten Ayari, in charge of enterprising from ANETI in Sousse. The associate professor and head of division at ANETI, who would talk about a very important law, the entrepreneur student status, and then Mr. Lekoumba, the administrative director and strategy director of the PMPE. It's the public employment service in Gabon, and then we would close with a presentation of Madame Montegnies, Madame Intini, project managers of partnership projects in the Brussels capital region. During this panel, we will focus on considerations how to support with synergy between employment structures and universities, training centers, and what coordination, what aspect of coordination, etc. And then we'll give each of the speakers about 10 minutes. Mr. Barhoumi, 10 minutes to share with Madame Imen Ghelala and a testimony for the beneficiary, Mr. Karem Chatti. He is here. You will join us in a while. So 10 minutes. You give 2 minutes to raise questions and 8 questions for your presentation. We agree on that.
Vous pouvez venir sur le pupitre si vous voulez.
You can join us here, Madame Faten.
Ou restez comme vous voulez.
Or you can...
Merci pour les 5 minutes supplémentaires.
Je suis gentil aujourd'hui.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour à tous. Je souhaite...
Thank you. I would like to welcome the Public Employment Services family here in Tunisia, and I hope this meeting would be enriching for everyone. I would like to introduce the services offer for ANETI so we can go later on to the discussions. So the ANETI mission can be broken down into 4 missions: development of entrepreneurship mind and initiatives, customization, both individual and collective. Partnership, we're partners with all those who have a stake in entrepreneurship, and then public administration, which is, the targeting, especially those who, for example, that involves different populations, those who have been in delinquency and rehabilitation centers, sometimes also for groups that for whom the tasks are not often visible, and there is also the returnees among migrants. So all of these populations are included in the specific programs. ANETI defines its targets as follows: the large public, that is everyone, job seekers, students, the university graduates, graduates of training centers and vocational training centers.
C'est les personnes qui veulent...
Potential creators, those who want to establish a company but don't have the potential, reveal talents, that is people who can have an idea and can develop it and prepare a patent, including those who are in the informal sector. Confirmed creators, those who are capable of developing a business plan, and the established creators, those who are part of our target, those who end up establishing a company. We target them this way so we can include them somehow in our system. For these different targets, the ANETI offers a support, a global, transversal, inclusive, collective, and individual support in order to provide its services. It provides to its users infrastructure, 22 entrepreneurship centers or venues, 140 certified trainers, 180 consultants, and 70 what we call promote and micro-enterprising units. These include training and management, the financial education, training of trainers and soft skills, and a good part of our program has been developed in collaboration with the ILO, whom we commend here, of course. ANETI operates within an ecosystem, and we are particularly partners with the public sector, as like ANPE, the Agency for Promotion of Industry, Agricultural Investments, Handicrafts, the private sector, incubators, accelerators, etc. So we are partners with all those who are part of the ecosystem. In order to give you more details about the offer of services, we offer a great deal of programs, training programs, education workshops through a program that is a create your own business, why not? Design thinking workshops like Moran and organizing your project, soft skills workshops, and we provide even some practical intern and learning sessions within businesses. The objective is not actually to have a ready idea, but it's simply to equip it with the tools and to help it find what is necessary. But those who give you an idea of a project is not a good idea, because I'm sure if it was good enough, they would never share it with you. Then we hosting at the level of incubators so that the people become more familiar with the business environment and they take cognizance of the business environment and the procedures and the funding and even obtaining own funds through what is known as Intilak or Start Fund. The support does not stop there. We move on even to the post-creation. We have regular visits to the entrepreneur. We offer training and technical training, training in management and technical training, because there are some who are excellent in the technical fields, but not so in the management. And so we need to build up their skills in order to acquire to conquer new markets or to acquire in different other markets. We offer also support and soft skills in order to strengthen their competencies and their skills in leadership and other fields. And we often provide a small premium of about 200 dinars to meet, it's a small one, but it's to meet basic expenses. We have chosen the stairway because stairways imply movement, and there are different levels in order to find an idea, they would join the education workshops, design thinking workshops. That's the first level. Then they would test the idea. They would see if the idea has any potential. They would have a practical training in business, and then they would develop their market study, and then the file is submitted to the funding, and then they find ending with the approval. It is the last phase of the process within the incubator. And precisely for this point, to create a business, people usually have to jump into a vacuum, because it's not our role actually to push these people, although we really want sometimes to push some of them, because the establishment rate is important for us, and we allow the people to take their own decisions, knowing that 30% and over 30% of the people who acquire the approval don't start their businesses for different reasons. These are personal, they have to do with the environment, they have to do with the global financing, etc. And I think it's unfair to assess or to evaluate our staff by the criteria of establishment rate. It is important, and it is a criterion of importance, but we need to offer our services by level. So those who went through the different levels, how many who started at level 1, how many went to the next level, how many ended up developing a bankable business plan. You have 1 minute. I'm almost done, says. when the woman when the person decides to establish their account, their business, the ANETI would be supporting that. There is a review of the methodology and accompanying. With the ministry and with the collaboration of GIZ, we are providing a number of support services, and we are preparing business coaching. So to modernize our tools, we have already developed the profiling tool, and we want to integrate other tools that are much more attractive. We plan to digitalize at least part of our services because we know the young people are more and more connected today, and we want to design some form of connection follow-ups in order to identify the level of progress, especially for the level of business coaching clubs and. In order to allow more networking and connections and more exchanges. So thank you for your attention. I just wanted to end with this because it's important for us. The stairway. In fact, our offer of services is nice, and but nothing is really shiny. We do not really celebrate successes every day. There are great successes, certainly, and every day, but we also experience a great deal of failures. So what we need is actually to make sure that people can be able to go up and down according to what they can do, in order to have new perspectives and if I tell you that the majority of people that have actually been up the stairway is with us and did not end up with the business, they say that the fact that they have been through the design thinking, the fact that they took part in our entrepreneurship efforts, helped them find jobs faster. So let's be proud of what we're doing because we have one of the best tasks and jobs in the world. Thank you. I don't know if you have felt that. The fact that speaking this way really warms our hearts. What I have felt personally, and I say it without any elegy, there is commitment. There is the CEO who is calling you. I don't know if it is the promise of a promotion. Not yet. Madame Farihan, there's a promotion in the air. Says, I would love that. So thank you for this testimony. Maybe very briefly, you have been excellent, Madame Ayari, speaking to us of this, but being especially very sincere to us, of frustrations as well. I have considered this slide with great interest on synergy, potential synergy between ANETI and the Solidarity Funding Bank in Tunisia and other support structures. And I understand your disappointment because at the end of the day, those who listen to us and those who hear us say, what did ANETI do? I have not been able to establish my project and start my project. It's not ANETI, it's all the ecosystem. And I want to simply raise this question of synergy.
As I said earlier, the creation of companies is not the business of one structure. Everyone must contribute. Everyone must provide service to meet the objective. ANETI prepares people but cannot be responsible of the achievement. There is the environment, but also the bank, BTS. BTS is an excellent device which is not available in the rest of the world. It is a financing structure for loans without guarantee. The documents required by BTS is the national ID, the professional competence, and the quotes. with a rate of recovery, a good rate of recovery. So it is in meso and microfinance. It is a state bank which received subsidies from the Tunisian state, and after a few years had excess. It no longer received subsidies because it has excess, and it was a risky field because people did not have guarantee or experience. So BTS is a good asset to maintain. And when people ask for 100,000, for example, and the banks gives 80 or 70, maybe here we are creating companies with difficulty, hence the problems. But if there is good synergy between the support structures, the bank, and other structures, because we work, but there is also API, APIA, and if this synergy operates, functions, I think that the environment, the business environment in Tunisia is not bad. I think it is good. So thank you very much, Mrs. Faten Ayari. And we move now to another Tunisian concept. I don't know if it is elsewhere too, but for some time we have adopted a law on the status of entrepreneur students. The SALEEM project will be presented by Walid Barhoumi, who is associate professor, and Mrs. Imen, division head at ANETI, and the testimony of Karem Chatti, who is a student who benefited from this status of entrepreneur student, and he will be here speaking of his experience. So in 10 minutes, you need to share the presentations. I will try to be very brief. The poll, I will begin with the status. The statute, it defines the advantages for these students, and we have started thinking about this in 2017 in the project SALEEM. It was financed by the European Community, and the circular was published in 2019, and it was launched in 2020, to say that it took time to have a good version. We started by deploying in 2 pilot universities in Sfax and Carthage, so they are the largest in terms of number, and it is now in all universities, apart from the virtual University of Tunis. So it is a special statute for students, holders of project, and we gave this to any student. So we are looking for daring students. So the inspiration is from the French model. There is the initiator level for those who have ideas. Then the innovators, those who have an idea about the business plan. The third level is promoters, those who have created companies. And the more we move ahead, the more we gain advantages. And there are many advantages. I will share the advantages. Some are academic, knowing that we have defined them in consultation with students. In Tunisia, the students with ideas of projects, they stop at the level of the competition. They don't dare enterprising, because they have to choose between studying and their project, and this is not easy. At the university, they have 45 hours of schooling, and the idea is to succeed in both. There are academic advantages like the like to valorize cross-cutting studies. So if the student is creating a company, they don't need to follow these modules, and these students are supported by professors, and they can have flexibility in the schedule to be part of events. They can work on their projects as a project of end of studies. Normally, they are in companies or laboratories. And another idea is the possibility of deciding on so it's a special mention in the degree that these students have contributed by creating a company which is very helpful in middle management. We speak of intra-entrepreneurship. And there are advantages of customized support and networking, and we do this regularly. There are business angels, for example, and students with good projects, they can pitch and look for financing sources. Thank you, Walid. And we talked about the benefits, among other things. So entrepreneur students who can benefit from the advantage of the pole and the co-working space and Fabla, because in the pole we have co-working space, which is well equipped. Even for the schedule for the students, it was not easy at the beginning to be at the same time follow classes and work on the project. So they had this space, well-equipped space, and Fabla with equipment for the launching. This was the need expressed by the students. It was not the team of the pole who decided to buy equipment, but for the first group, we wanted the need to be identified by themselves. Another benefit is that they can have research laboratories, because as you know, sometimes to have an idea and work on the project requires business analysis, and it costs money. So another advantage is that the students who benefit from this may have access to a research lab. And the coaching, the customized coaching, was carried out by two bodies, an academic body and a professional body. And here I joined Anis earlier. He mentioned that we needed field practice. The academic body was the reference of the pole, the professors. We started with 28 referents who were committed in this to ensure the support and the supervision of students. In what field? The 28, we started with 28, but they were from different disciplines. And we had meetings in peak. We identified the needs in training, and so that they can move higher in skills. Some are in management, finance, so not all in entrepreneurship. A question, please, because we want to be interactive. You kept 20, so what level? Is it, are they graduates? No, these are academics, not students. I'm speaking of the coaching, field coaching. It was carried out by the professors who are from the University of Carthage. So we started with 28 professors, and they followed training to be able to duplicate them with students. And here we have proximity support. And for ANETI, I had full-time responsibility with Walid, and we had the person in charge, Mrs. Safar, and I ensured the coaching of students and the follow-up of their advancement, their progress. So we worked as a team. There were info sessions and training of the students. So we had many such sessions in the pole for entrepreneur students. And together we worked and developed the training plan, the sessions, the schedule. This was the logistics of the pole. So this was for students, yes. We will see this with Walid. You still have 3 minutes with Mr. Karem. So now the customized coaching of students. Now, once they are selected, so of course you have to be selected. Once they are selected, they move directly to the signing of the pedagogical contract and the charter. And the next stage is to have a positioning test through our tool, the competence reference that we developed together with the professors, and then they move to a midterm evaluation with a pitch, and the last stage is a final evaluation to see if they move from one level to another. Mr. Walid, very briefly, I need to give the floor to Mr. Karem Chatti. Now, to answer your question, this slide gives the statistics. Please come to the podium, Mr. Karem. So we deployed the statute, and there were the project who can be held by 1 to 4 students, and we kept 200 students. We even had some with the 3rd level. And they come from all institutions, because we have the feeling it's only for engineering schools, but it's not true, because we even had from elsewhere. And there were more women than men. The majority were around the digital, agro-food, because we have this component in our university. And to end, you asked the question at the beginning. Now, following this success of this success in Tunisia is to duplicate in many African countries like Burkina Faso or Guinea, where they use the same model. So, for entrepreneurship in Tunisia, there are 2 laws or 2 projects which were duplicated elsewhere. So the Entrepreneur and the Startup Act, which was promulgated in Tunisia in 2018, and many countries now are following the Tunisian model and duplicating it in their legislation. So projects were kept, so 12 companies were created in addition to the existing one, and 2 obtained the label Startup Act, as you were saying. We have Karem Chatti with us, who was a student. Please welcome him. So he followed all these stages. He has followed all these stages, and he will briefly present his experience with the status of self-entrepreneur. Thank you. Can I speak English?
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here today with you all, and it's a pleasure also to exchange with you all. I will be there in the booth later on, so feel free to just join me. So my name is Karem, and I was a student, of course. I have a background in renewable energies engineering. I studied at Carthage University, and I took part of the Student Entrepreneur Program. Now I am co-founder and CEO of DeepVault, Default basically is a startup based in Tunis, of course. We help businesses define the demand for EV charging. This is a hot topic today. We help them define the demand for EV charging and finding the best locations to deploy charging stations. We also help cities and governments deploy policies to deploy charging infrastructure to accelerate the transition to sustainable mobility. Today, Default has been selected as one of the top 50 mobility startups in Europe, according to the European Startup Prize for Mobility. And also, this is a prize provided by the European Commission. And we are also supported by EIT Urban Mobility, working with major cities in Europe to deploy their charging infrastructure. Basically, I want to get back to the experience within the Student Entrepreneur Program. This is basically a life-changing event for me and also for other entrepreneurs, because for a student and within the mindset of a student, what is missing is not the knowledge. The knowledge is there. We have YouTube. We have all the resources. If you go to Y Combinator library, you'll be finding everything from top-notch Silicon Valley founders. But what we're missing is basically the confidence. What we're missing is basically a framework that encourages students to move forward, to take the leap and jump in. Basically the stairway that we have been looking at. So this is something that we got. We have found ourselves within a community of similar-minded people and people who have similar mindsets. Also, we have the support of seniors who encourage us and show us what to do and where to do. And this kind of confidence helped us learn a lot in terms of soft skills and in terms of how to communicate, how to speak in public, how to talk to investors, how to lead a team, etc. So this is basically a crucial experience that I have witnessed. And I encourage every student here, like in this room, to take part of similar programs. There are many, not only the Student Entrepreneur Program, but there are many initiatives that enable this kind of collaboration and this kind of learning experience that is not only theoretical, but hands-on experience with people, experts from everywhere. So, should you be interested in speaking more with me and also with Deepvolt team, we help cities all over the world basically do planning of their charging infrastructure. We also are raising for our pre-seed round, so if you wear the investor hat, feel free to join us in the booth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karem. Thank you so much. And I think I'm a university teacher, I'm a lecturer also, and if I ask my students if they have idea about this new statute, they're going to say, no, I don't know how to handle with it. So I think with you, with ANETI, and maybe with the Minister of Higher Education, it is important to communicate, to know how the incentives are given, how he can get incentive from this. And I think there is a major effort to do on communicating this program.
I think also I'd recommend that students get more proactive, jumping into events. Do not just stay in the university, do not just stay in your bubble, just go to events. I was like attending more events than classes. Sorry for teachers who teach me, but I had to do that to be able to be exposed to people, to expose to other entrepreneurs, to be exposed to other people from other fields also.
And now you're talking about with people, you know, you go to university and talk about students and you show them how the spirit to do entrepreneurship?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is something I do proactively. We always, within our startups, we collaborate with university clubs and also with people from universities who are interested in having hands-on projects and joining also other companies. We also have a lot of interns. So yeah, if you are also interested to join us as an intern, the door is open always.
And you have a stand over there in the marketplace?
Yeah, together with my colleague Ale, who is our first employee, we are here to talk to you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Alors,
much.
pouvez visiter donc.
You can visit earlier. We have a space dedicated to startups. In the other, in the next room, it is a marketplace that you can visit. Thank you, Mr. Walid, Mrs. Imen. Can I add something? 10 seconds for startup holders or leaders. So at ANETI, we give a scholarship of 1,000 dinars for the first 5 years, 1,000 dinars to 5,000 for startup leaders, those who have a label, and they have exempted from Social Security during 7 years. So we are talking about two things, the Startup Act and the status of student entrepreneurs. Thank you for this presentation. We move now to Gabon, to Libreville, to meet Mr. Séverin Lekoumba, who is Administrative Director and Strategy of PNPE in Gabon. You are welcome with us. And with you, we will speak of an innovating device to support candidates for self-employment. Yes? You have the floor. Thank you. I want to thank ANETI teams for the welcome. Especially that after this conference, we will stay 1 week to learn more from ANETI. So Gabon is a small country of 265,000 square kilometers, 2 million inhabitants, and the economy is based on mines, oil, and forests. We have a rate of unemployment of 2.7%, and 90% of them are young people. And we are looking for solutions to accompany these youth, because we want to ensure that these young people leave unemployment. So we have our employment service since 2021, which used to be Office for Employment, and now it has become a national pole with other missions, like the mission of supporting self-entrepreneurs. The context today is simple. In Gabon, the first employer is the state, and then we have the private sector. And we had... So he has a problem with the computer. Monsieur Lekoumba, did you finish? Of course not. So we have three possibilities of integration. Either the people work for the state, public administration, or they go to the private sector. Here the companies are the large groups who do not create enough jobs, but when they do, they require high skills. And this is employment in the technical level of mines, oil, or the transformation of wood. So we have a concern with the IMF reforms. We had stopped hiring in the public administration, and this created high unemployment among young people. So we are thinking more of self-employment. And the difficulty we had now, we have a problem of financing in Gabon, because there is no state bank financing entrepreneurs like in Tunisia. So we started a mechanism, and there is intermediation, employability, and in our work schedule, there is a device. When we put a young person in an internship, the employer must pay a share for the poll representing 18% of the wage of the youth to pay for social security and administrative follow-up. So 18%. So a young person earning 10,000 dinars at the end of the month, we receive 1,800. And the young person does not... No, the young person doesn't pay anything. No, the young people don't. So it is 1,800 dinars that we take. One part goes for the social security of the young intern, and the other is a guarantee fund to facilitate the financing of the project. And this fund now is more than 1 million euros, and the ambition is to reach 5 million euros. So it is a fund now which is there and helping 500 promoters. And there is a rate of failure on the 500 entrepreneurs. We have 150 who are today, who are surviving, and the others are lost. We also have groups like Total and others, and we have companies which recycle their corporate responsibility. These companies create employment. It is not public service. And the deal is to say you can no longer hire. You have 10 million of corporate responsibility. So we are going to see what can be outsourced, and we will use your responsibility, corporate responsibility, to create small companies like of Iramed, a company which bought 20 vehicles for young people, used as not only taxi but carrying and used for transportation. And because in Gabon there is much transportation required between Libreville and this mine city. So these young people deal with transportation. And so, if I understand you well, you require for the company to contribute from its corporate responsibility fund. It has a social impact because they hire young people who will buy taxis, and they will bring all these people of this company. And here we have an environmental impact which is locked, and a social and economic impact, I would say. It is the pillar of corporate responsibility. And we also have financing with Morel & Pump, which is a company, French oil company, which also provides part of its corporate responsibility, helping young people again. The approach means that the companies created work with the mother company in order to avoid having to look for markets, etc. So generally speaking, it is what we do in Gabon, which is not perfect, which is why we are here. It is to learn and to have new ideas to be able to support our young people. And as I said, we have 60% of the young people who are now unemployed. We are looking for innovating ideas. And we have a slogan, which is to reinvent employment. Thank you for your attention. So just one question, the question of corporate responsibility. Myself, I'm co-founder of the International Forum of Corporate Responsibility. So I've been working on this. Is it without any tax? Are there any tax incentives which are provided? No, there are no tax incentives, for the reason that every year these companies have a contract with the state, and there is an amount which is included for the corporate responsibility to develop social projects. So we ask for the company to look for the money elsewhere, whether it is 10 or 30% of this corporate responsibility to finance employment. Thank you.
Thank you for the details. We end this panel with Belgium and Brussels in particular presentation. And what if we talk about employment in Brussels? In Brussels and not anywhere else. Introduced by Madame Marjorie Montegnies and Séverine Intini, who are project managers and partnership at Actiris. So they will introduce Actiris, and then they will talk about what they have done to deal with employment in Brussels. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for your hospitality and for the invitation. And I'm pleased to talk about this interesting topic, quite interesting also for our country, which has its own specificities. It's a small country, quite complex politically and institutionally, where we find an important entrepreneurship dynamic. Maybe a great deal of people talked about artisans and creators in terms of design, cinema, music, gastronomy, We also have artisans and manufacturers of chocolate with international reputation. So these are just a few examples, but Brussels is the capital of Belgium and is also the capital of Europe. 1,200,000 inhabitants. With all these elements, they make it a city where we find about 83 nationalities coexisting. So these elements also have an important impact on the way we deal with the employment policies. So first of all, I apologize for my voice. I caught a cold, so I hope I do not cough while talking. So we represented the activists, which, as mentioned, is the public employment service in Brussels and not Belgium, because in Belgium we have the Wallonie and Flanders, which have their own mechanism. So Brussels capital is a city, and the public service for Brussels, the capital, has its own public employment service, which is Activities, and its task is to accompany and support the job seekers and entrepreneurs. We have a great deal of work done about in the field of job creation, and we hope to introduce this more specifically. But before that, we will talk about the context of Brussels. As mentioned, Brussels is a very complex country. There's even a book that is entitled Belgium for Dummies, which I have read but not really understood. Belgium, Brussels specifically, has a great deal of opportunities, employment opportunities, but often they require high degrees. An idea about the unemployment rate in Brussels. I'll come. The lady says she will speak about that. Concerning the landscape of Brussels, so this requires knowledge, linguistic knowledge. We know that it's bilingual. English also is becoming quite important. So 3 languages, that's quite not evident for everyone. So we also in lack of digital skills because the services and other sectors requiring such digital skills abound in Brussels, and which require recruitment procedures that involve official procedures such as holding a recognized diploma. The unemployment rate in Brussels is very high. I find that it is quite high, and we have about 15%. And the map here shows the disparities and the gaps between the different communities. We see that in the northeastern zone, in light blue, we have about 21%, which is, while to the right in Saint-Pierre, it's 8%. So we see these disparities between the communities, while actually Belgium is such a small country. To the left, it's what we call the poor crescent, where poverty is high, where unemployment is high, where accommodation is problematic and housing is problematic. So the characteristics of job seekers of these 15%, we can see them to the left. For 43%, they are foreigners without equivalent of diplomas. It's very difficult to have an equivalent of diploma in Belgium. Sometimes it's impossible for some countries, or there is a downvaluing of the diploma. That is, the equivalent is not the same. And so others do not have the level of last year of higher education. They usually have acquired the primary education level, and 41% have a unemployment time of about 2 years, and 62% among them are young, aged 25 to 40 years. So they are in full employability age and potential. The unemployment rate in Wallonie is very, very low compared to the capital, and while in Wallonie North it's the same as in Brussels. Evidently, this situation has an impact on the way Actuaries act. Actuaries as a public employment service. So at the level of this collaboration, we are about 1,500 people working for Actuaries, proposing services to the various public job seekers. And then we have always a database, and we have resignation before starting to look for a job. So it is at that level that the project, that the entrepreneurial project has been also taken on board in the process. We have also an important support provided to employers to help them in their recruitment, etc. And then we have also action that is regional, because we are a capital and we are autonomous region, but as mentioned, there is an important need to act on the ground locally. And as you see here on the slide to the right, we have our head office, central headquarters, and then at the ground level, it's an office, so it's a space. It's premises that are open to everyone, job seekers, students, and student entrepreneurs. It's a space for information and guidance, and it is based especially also on entrepreneurship. And then we have decentralized contacts at the level of communities with the services offers adapted to the needs of the communities and the needs of job seekers individually. So it's just a reminder that the translator said that she's talking maybe too fast. So please take more 2 minutes. We did not do that. Just to harmonize this, and I would like to thank you for the translators. Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words. So we'll try to speak slower, and if we wish to explain how our partnership works, mentioned by Marjorie. So the actuaries cannot really support all the job seekers because they are quite numerous, and what we propose is a general or a global offer involving administrative tasks, registration, the socio-economic profiling, and guidance towards the potential partners. We collaborate with about 220 partners who would implement special career courses to guide the job seekers that are much more accurate than ours with different and adapted methodologies. To carry out this partnership at the level of our departments, we should respect a number of levers, and then we see here, or phases. We have financial constraints because we have budgets that are final budgets, sometimes impacted by crises. We have also administrative constraints. We are a public institution, and we have to meet the requirements of a specifications book. We have a political framework or a policy framework to respect, because often we have instructions that come right away from the minister's cabinet stressing this or that public group, maybe women, sometimes young people, etc. Just plenty of examples of this type. And following these constraints, we often design a call, and then we move on to do our work on the ground. But often we find ourselves in an ivory tower. We're not in contact with the job seekers. We are in contact with the partners, but we would like to meet them and take into consideration the socioeconomic developments in order to carry out needs analyses and to develop or to submit recommendations that come from the ground. So we have also an evaluation culture that is quite strong. We meet the partners many times in a year, and we assess their practices. We see the impact of realization. We see if it is, we analyze the performance, and we question often when the partners tell us that things are not working very well. We reconsider that in the following specifications, as mentioned earlier. So we really seek to have a collaborative approach. We often dictate or impose the principles, but our partners have a political or communal stronger role and authority. Now we collaborate with them in order to find approaches that meet the needs of everyone. We try equally. We coordinate the projects, we issue calls, we also establish selection committees that take the best, and we provide funding in order to support them in the implementation of their projects. One of our partnership procedures is what we call support for the establishment of one's project. The job seeker usually should, in order to end unemployment, would be able to establish or set up their own business, although it is not an objective for everyone. So our approach is that our procedure aims at two objectives. A job seeker that would propose a project, and we would forward them to one of our 6 partners that would guide them more specifically, because we think that the establishment or the launching of the project would need specific expertise that is available to one of the 6 partners. For all the job seekers, and this has been identified earlier, that even if the entrepreneurial project does not materialize, there is always a consolidation of skills, there is a better trust of the self, and even if the job seeker does not become independent as such, we notice that this actually would provide more energy and in order to find a job as a wage earner. But our process is quite similar. We often ask our partners if they have special procedures they need to comply with our procedures. That is, the job seekers should be able to know the requirements of the status of entrepreneur. After a key procedure, which we support financially, it is the analysis in order to analyze the level of maturity, and we see where, and this should be reported in a way where the diagnosis is positive, they may actually seek creative aspect, and then we know that there is also a collapse or a failure level, the rate that is quite important, and our senior is to and the authority has also provided mechanisms to support those who actually may face risks and maybe whose projects have not come to maturity. Thank you for your interest. I will take 2 questions and 2 remarks from the participants, very briefly and straightforward. Any questions? Any comments? Looks like everything was clear, so would like to thank Madam Faten Ayari. Thank you very much. Madame Imen Ghelala,
Madame
Marjorie, Séverine, Monsieur Séverin, and Walid Barhoumi. Thank you, everyone, for being with us in this panel.